Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 35 of the Overnight Feed recaps for Big Brother Season 27. A good Tuesday to y'all. All right, yesterday we had the veto ceremony, so we got to talk about that before we get into the live feeds themselves. We had the veto ceremony yesterday. As you recall, Kat had the veto. It was up to her to decide whether or not she was going to use it. It didn't seem like she wanted to. And as it turns out, Kat did not use the veto yesterday. That's the first question that had to be settled at the ceremony. The second part was Zach's secret power. The power allowed him after the veto ceremony to basically stand up, wave his arms around, and say, "Yeah, no, I got another power. I'm going to pay $10,000, pull myself off the block." He's on the block. He had the option to do it. Did Zach use his secret power? No, he did not use it. Did not tell anyone, at least at the time, that he had the power. Is it because he feels so safe with the vote? Could be. Is it because he doesn't want to give up $10,000? Possibly. Is it because he's worried that he's been swearing up and down for the last month that there was nothing attached to that $10,000 except $10,000, and there are certain people who maybe would feel betrayed if they found out he had a secret power after all? Perhaps that's possible too. Perhaps it's a combination of all three, but he chose not to use the secret power. It remains in play, at least up until jury. We'll see if that comes back to bite him. He may be wishing he had used it later on in the week, but we'll find out. So there you go. The results of the veto ceremony. Nothing changes. We're gonna have Zach and Vince and Keanu on the block come Thursday. Someone gets pulled off with the blockbuster. Two other big names are going up this week. Someone is going home that I would consider to be a power player, or Keanu. Keanu is a big presence as well. So yeah, someone is going home. We'll see how it turns out. All right. Overnight, a lot of conversations with no competitions taking place on Tuesday. It just seems like everyone was up talking a lot. All three house guests on the block were doing a certain amount of campaigning, a lot of people campaigning for them, a whole lot of people trying to count votes and talk about what they're going to do if they're HOH. Just all the standard talk that we've got. We'll see how much of it comes into play. I tried to take notes on all of it and focus on the key parts. Now, the two key parts in summary, I think, for the evening, the two big things that I really caught that I think are certainly worth talking about. First of all, Zach spilled a secret. Yeah, Zach has told someone, and we'll cover it, about his secret power that came with the $10,000. And talking about alliances and all that. A lot of talk about people wanting to work together, new alliances and all that, but we've got an old alliance that has popped its head back up. The heavy hitters has been exposed, and people are trying to do some damage control as part of that, and spread a little disinformation. So we're going to talk about all of that with the feeds. Let's start off with late afternoon on the live feeds. We'll start with Rachel and Ashley having a talk. Remember, Rachel's lost Jimmy. She's lost Amy. Ashley may be kind of her tightest connection. Now, she's close with Ava, but they're trying not to reveal that too much. So we've got Rachel and Ashley talking. Rachel is saying that Mickey needs to go in the next 2 weeks. She's just Rachel's not happy with Mickey. Not happy with Morgan either, but Rachel is not happy with Mickey. Mickey said she needs to go in the next 2 weeks. She's complaining that Mickey is running the house, that Mickey is telling people what to do. She just has too much control right now, and that cannot last. Ashley is also talking, complaining a little bit. She's complaining about Morgan. She's saying, "Look, well, I take that back. They're complaining about Mickey, and Mickey needs to go." And Ashley's saying, "Look, Morgan doesn't trust Mickey anymore either, and no one does. So she's just too powerful right now." They're agreeing that if either one of them was to win the next HOH, that it would probably be Mickey on the block, along with Riley and Kelly. Is kind of who they've talked about. I think not Rachel was thrown out there, but at the end of the day, it would be Mickey who is the target of that little group. Ashley is saying that Mickey wants Rachel in jury, but not to last too long. Well, we know how Rachel responds to that. So, yeah, Ashley mentioning that is not going to make Rachel any more beholden to Mickey at all when she hears that. And she already knew that Mickey and Morgan both had said similar things. So Rachel had her beef with Morgan yesterday, and that hadn't gone away. But she also is not real happy with Mickey for some of the same reasons. Plus, just feeling like Mickey is running this house. Rachel's complaining that she can't even cook without Mickey's permission. I'm not sure what sprung of this. I think she had wanted to cook something, and Mickey had said, "Nah, don't cook that." And there was talk later about cooking some shrimp, and they wanted to save. I don't know if the two are connected, but Rachel feeling like Mickey's putting too much, not just in gameplay controlling the house, but even just in terms of cooking. We know cooking has been a sensitive topic this season, right? Rachel and Morgan were accused of cooking their way to the top, and now Mickey's controlling what's being cooked. Yeah, just a lot of things to gripe about. They're saying that they shouldn't have helped Mickey win her HOH takeover power. Remember, they went on and on about acting and convincing Riley that it was Mickey that had the power, so that I mean that Ashley had the power, so that Mickey would be able to claim the HOH, and it worked. Now they're saying maybe we shouldn't have helped Mickey so much because ever since she got HOH, the power's just gone to her head. She feels like she is running this entire house, and we're just tired of it, tired of it, tired of it. All right. A few people feel like they're running the whole house, right? All right. We've got that going on between Rachel and Amy. We also have Rachel and Amy, between Rachel and Ashley. Eventually, Will joins this duo as well. He's saying, look, as far as this week goes, Vince needs to go. He says Keanu can go any week. He's always going to be a target that Vince needs to go this week. And that's who I would want to head out the door. Ashley is warning that some people are already trying to send Keanu out. They're already working to try to save Vince and Zach and make sure Keanu heads out the door, which goes against what maybe Will and Rachel and Ashley are hoping for. Theoretically, they want to save Vince, but again, some people trying to save Keanu, trying to send Keanu out, which Rachel does not want to have happen. So different sides between those, with getting Vince out, getting Keanu out. There's certainly some people who want Zach out as well. So there's no guarantee for any of these targets this week. All right, we've got Riley talking to the cameras just a little bit, complaining that his three boys are all on the block and not really feeling it. Riley is not a big fan of Morgan. He would have been perfectly happy to have had Zach come off that block and Morgan go up, but Riley didn't have the power. Riley didn't get that wish, and now he's complaining that three of his close connections are all on the block this week. Yeah, you're gonna have two of them left. Silverline and I, you'll still have two of them when you get done, Riley, but not all three. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince talking. Morgan is saying that if she won HOH, a lot of "if I win HOH next week" kind of talk. Morgan is telling Vince that if she wins HOH, that she's going to put up Rachel and Ava and Will. That she wants to break that trio up. That Rachel would be her primary target. Remember, she and Rachel had it out because Rachel wasn't happy to hear that Morgan just wanted Rachel to get to jury, and that was it. So if Rachel's against Morgan, then Morgan certainly is now going to be against Rachel. Put her up, put up Ava just because she knows, I think, that suspects that she was close to going on the block this week, and because Ava put up two of her close guys, and Will just because he's tight with them as well. So Morgan's got definite plans about how she wants to proceed now that she's going to be safe this week and knows she'll be here next week. Potentially, again, we've heard it's going to be a wall comp. Morgan, I would be picking one of the top two or three people with the best chances to win a wall comp competition. So take seriously what she says she may do as far as HOHs go. All right, we've got Mickey and Zach talking. Zach is asking about possible votes that he may have and how he would do against Keanu or Vince. Mickey is telling Zach, saying, look, just to be kind of honest with you, it seems like Vince may have a little bit better chance of staying against you than you staying against Vince. Seems like Vince maybe could win on the votes with you, close, but he may have an edge, Zach, so you need to be aware of it. Not going to make Zach feel any better that he didn't use the power when he had the option to. He may really rue the day that he didn't use that power. All right, Mickey is talking to Zach some more, telling Zach that Vince and Morgan will always be each other's number ones. She's saying that they've got each other's back. They're always going to have each other's back. That doesn't make Mickey feel good, who felt like she was close at one point this season with Mickey. And it shouldn't make Zach feel any better either that those two seem to be tighter than Zach is with them. They're wondering, she's wondering why she should join his side, knowing she won't be priority. Again, this is Mickey talking to Zach. She's saying, look, yeah, I know those two are going to be, Vince and Morgan are going to be tight, but I also know that you're tight with them as well. And why should I come over to y'all's side when I know that I'm going to be kind of low man on the totem pole? Zach is considering that. Zach's also talking about Morgan. He's saying he thinks that it isn't all rosy with me. He said, yeah, you may be right. Morgan and Vince are certainly closer at this point because Morgan's not real happy with me. She's upset just because of my relationship with Lauren, and that may be putting a little crinkle in our relationship as well. So both of them feeling like they're a little bit out as far as Morgan and Vince and their relationship. Mickey is saying that Morgan had told her that Zach had said that Lauren couldn't be touched. In other words, she's saying, yeah, Morgan came to me. She said, you had told her that Lauren is not to be touched. We got to protect Morgan at all costs. And so, of course, Morgan's going to feel a little hurt when you're saying something like that. All right, we've got Morgan and Kelly talking to each other. Kelly is wondering why Morgan is so upset. Morgan's just, we've seen her down in the dumps. And Kelly said, why are you upset? You're not on the block. And Morgan is saying, yeah, but my boys are on the block. Two of my guys are on the block. And so, of course, I'm going to be concerned about the way things have turned out this week. Kelly is saying, well, I get it. She said, I'm going, if it comes down to your two boys on the block, Vince and Zach, don't think she considers Morgan talking about Keanu as being one of her boys. But she says, if it comes down to your two boys, if it's Vince and Zach on the block, Kelly saying, I'm going to vote for Vince to stay over Zach. I would prefer to have Vince in the house over Zach at that point. She said, really, Zach is tight with Lauren. Zach's only good for Lauren's game. Zach's not worrying about anyone other than Lauren. So why would I go out of my way to protect him at all? So Kelly has made it known that she's going to try to save Vince over Zach if it comes down to those two. All right, we've got Morgan and Zach talking to each other. Morgan's worried that Will is getting closer to Ava and Rachel and Ashley and Mickey than he is to Morgan, that she was hoping maybe she could count on Will for some support and all that. And she said, nah, he's going over with this other group that I'm not part of. And again, yeah, certainly Rachel and Ashley and now Mickey and Ava as well. And she thinks Will's heading that way as well. She's seeing the numbers piling up on another side, which has got her a little bit worried. Zach is thinking that of all the votes, he's saying, I certainly I've got Will's vote, right? And no matter what else is going on, I should be able to count on Will's vote to save me after I gave him that trip. Well, yes, Will has said that he will vote no matter what to save Zach, and I think he absolutely means it. There's some seasons people wouldn't buy into that kind of bribe and say, hey, I gave me a trip. Now you're going home. How's that go? But I think this week, this season, will uphold his kind of commitment. He's talked a lot that he owes Zach a debt that goes beyond the game. So yeah, he's got Will's vote. Not sure who other votes he has just yet, but he's got Will's vote. All right. We've got we've got all those conversations, and now Zach chooses to open his mouth. Zach's done a good job about keeping his secret power secret. One of the few people in this house this season actually can keep a secret. One of the few people for the last few seasons that could keep a secret. Zach has kept his secret until now, and Zach decides this is the perfect time to talk about his secret power. And the secret power is being told to Morgan. Yeah, as they continue their conversation, he says, just so you know, there was a little bit more than the $10,000 cash involved. He's telling Morgan that he could have pulled himself off the block. She is incredulous that he did not pull himself off the block. And he's saying, look, if I'd pulled myself off the block, yeah, I'd be safe. But you were going up, Morgan. It was going to be you, and then it would be you and Keanu and Vince, and we'd still be in a world of hurt. So he's saying, I chose not to do it just to protect you. And so that's why I didn't use it. If you're going to tell someone, that's a pretty smart way to tell it. In other words, I'm risking my game, Morgan, to protect your game. So if you're going to tell anyone, not too bad, but Zach has told Morgan I've been watching. I don't think Morgan has told anyone else yet. And she probably, well, no, she probably won't. We'll see. As long as they stay on good terms, I wouldn't expect that she will. But he has told Morgan about his power twist. And again, she's starting off incredulous that he didn't use it, and I think feeling a little bit relieved and very grateful when she hears the reasons about why he did not use it at that point. He said he tells her, he says, if it wasn't for the fact that I knew you would go up in my place, otherwise I would have used it. You were the only reason, Morgan, that I chose to keep myself on the block. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that romantic? So yeah, Zach making some overtures again. Just recently saying, just earlier saying, hey, Morgan's kind of PO'd at me with how I'm working with Lauren. Well, maybe he's resolved a little bit that with her now that he's told her. He's saying that or he's now panicking to her, saying, yeah, when I did it, it seemed pretty cut and dried. Now as I start counting these votes and everything, I'm worried there's some votes that I counted supporting me that may not be supporting me after all. And yeah, Zach's starting to panic as he hears some people saying, yeah, maybe Vince has a little bit of a lead on you over other people. So again, we'll see if he ends up going home with that secret power in his pocket, so to speak. All right, we've got Rachel and Kelly and Keanu all talking to each other. Rachel and Kelly are both agreeing that they'll vote to save Keanu, or at least they're telling Keanu that, and I think they are. Rachel has no reason to get Keanu out over the other two. She wants Vince out. She definitely would be fine with Keanu staying. Kelly is going to support Keanu as well. So they're both saying, Keanu, you got our votes. Not sure about everyone else, but you've got our votes. Rachel also mentions that she's voting out Zach over Vince. I'm not sure I'm buying that. That may be a little talk just to Keanu, because we know that Rachel would like to see Vince out the door. But she's saying, yeah, I'm voting to save Vince over Zach. You're safe no matter what. But if it comes to those two, he's telling Rachel that or Kelly's telling Rachel that she had a kind of a relationship with Vince from week number one, and as a result, I said Rachel. I think that's Kelly. It's early in the morning, late in the evening, whatever. Kelly's saying she's going to vote out Zach over Vince, and she's telling Rachel that, yeah, we kind of had Vince and I had a relationship in week number one. Really hadn't gone anywhere since then, but we kind of were connected then. So just because of that, I'd probably vote out Zach over Vince if it came down to it. All right, Rachel is thinking that there's a big alliance that she's starting to identify. She's saying there's a big alliance of Vince and Zach and Morgan and Mickey and Keanu, as observant as always, says, well, that's not a majority. That's just a group there. And she said, well, I think there's more. I think it's a majority alliance, that there's others involved, but for certain it's Vince and Zach and Morgan and Mickey. And she's seen these people talking a lot, and so she's aware of that and worried about it. Rachel talking a little bit more about this whole idea of Vince and Zach and Morgan and Mickey, and trying to point out an alliance, and Keanu saying, yeah, I don't know. So Rachel goes ahead and I guess bites the bullet, so to speak, or decides to open up a little bit more and says, well, they were part of the Heavy Hitters Alliance. And they're like, what? Heavy Hitters? Yeah, oh yeah, there was a Heavy Hitters Alliance. For those of you who don't remember, it was Rachel and Morgan and Mickey and Zach and Vince and Jimmy. Jimmy's gone. Rachel is not claiming that she was a member of it as well, but she's still pointing out the other four, say, yeah, Morgan, Mickey, Zach, and Vince. Heavy hitters. They had a name and everything. Again, Rachel is saying, I wasn't part of it, but they were, so I am aware that they've been working together at this point in time. So yeah, we'll see how that comes into play, that now that the heavy hitters has been mentioned to Keanu and Kelly. They move on from that, talking about that second vote that was cast to send Kelly out and to save Jimmy. Keanu said, it's Ashley. I'm certain. I have zero doubt it's Ashley. He's right. Even a broken clock's correct twice a day, right? Yeah, he's right. It was definitely Ashley. I think most people suspect that. Rachel, I think, probably knows it. Will knows it, and Will hadn't spilled the beans yet. We'll see if maybe he chooses to at some point in the future. But yeah, Keanu saying, yeah, definitely Ashley. There was that second vote. All right, there's talk about possible voting scenarios. Oh, so much between these three and with everyone else in this house last night. Keanu saying, look, if it's me versus Vince. I'm going to win every single time. I don't see a situation where I don't survive versus a Vince vote. Versus Zach, yeah, I'm not sure. Keanu's saying that Morgan had said she would save Vince over Zach as well. So if it's a Vince versus Zach vote, if Keanu pulls himself off the block, then maybe it could be Vince that stays and Zach goes home. But he's not as certain about that. But he knows that against Vince, he's staying 10 times out of 10. That's zero doubt in his mind. All right, Rachel is talking about the fact that Keanu has said that it was Rachel is kind of upset or is let me start this. Rachel's talking about the fact that Keanu had said that Riley had said it was annoying for Rachel and Ashley to interfere with his showmance with Kat. And again, this is coming from Keanu saying, "Yeah, Riley said that he's irritated with you, Rachel, because you're trying to interfere with that showmance." Rachel is saying, why are they upset with me talking about that? She said, I'm all for the showmance. I had the first Big Brother babies, once I married Brendan and all that. We're the original. So why would they possibly be upset about me talking about the showmance and all of that? And why would Riley think I'm trying to break anything up? Again, that's coming from Keanu. I'm not sure I've heard that from Riley specifically. Kelly is trying to get trying to get a working group together with Rachel and Keanu. She's saying, look, we could the three of us could work together and it would be great. No one would expect, it wouldn't be obvious that I'm working with y'all, and so we could probably make something happen. Keanu and Rachel don't say no, but they're not like, oh heck yeah, let's go for it. It was kind of like, sure, we could make something happen. I don't know if that'll go anywhere, but we'll see. All right, we've got Mickey and Will talking a little bit. Mickey is complaining that Morgan doesn't try to talk to Mickey too much anymore. She says, we used to talk all the time. Now Morgan just doesn't really try to talk to me that much. She said, I think that Morgan just kind of assumes that we're working together and that we're good, and she doesn't need to check in or anything else. Isn't that kind of what Morgan and Mickey got upset with Jimmy about and accused him of not really checking in with them and not really working to protect their relationship too much, too focused on other ones? Well, now Mickey's saying similar to Morgan. She just doesn't talk to him anymore. She makes assumptions that may or may not be correct. Will is saying that Morgan has a little bit of an issue of she's trying to play both sides. Again, we saw the same thing, Jimmy. He's saying, yeah, Morgan's trying to do it. The problem is she's not playing either side very well. She's playing both sides wrong. So she's just not making it happen the way she needs to make it happen. Mickey is saying that the problem is that Morgan just isn't loyal to their side. Maybe she would be if the right situation exists, but maybe she wouldn't be if the other side was in power. She said, Morgan's not going to be loyal to our side. She said, instead, look at this week. Morgan is too busy trying to protect Vince and Zach. She's just using you and I, Will, as tools to try to save those two guys. She's not loyal to us. She's not worried about us, our game. She just wants to protect those two guys. Mickey is saying that unlike Morgan, who has zero loyalty, Mickey is loyal. She said, I'm friendly. I'm amicable with the other side. She said, but when it comes to loyalty, I'm only loyal to this side. Unlike Morgan, who obviously is very loyal to the guys that aren't part of our group. She's saying that she only talks about stuff that she just doesn't trust Morgan at this point, and she doesn't really trust Ashley. She's telling Will, she said, the only people I talk about serious gameplay stuff with right now is you and Ava. Though you are the only two I trust. I'm not telling Morgan. I'm not telling Ashley anything of value or importance right now. So yeah, we can still continue to see some cracks forming in different sides of these groups that seemed pretty solid just a couple of weeks ago. All right, remember Rachel mentioning just a little earlier to Keanu and Kelly about the Heavy Hitters Alliance and that it existed. Well, it didn't take talking about wildfire. Did not take long for that to spread. Keanu is now talking about it with Vince, saying, "Hey, I heard you were in a little bit of an alliance called the Heavy Hitters." So he's mentioning it to Vince, and Vince just as quickly is over telling Morgan, panicking a little bit, telling Morgan about the Heavy Hitters alliance as well. And that Keanu mentioned it, mentioned who was in it. Happens to mention that apparently Rachel didn't bother to reveal that she was also part of the heavy hitters. And Morgan's picking up on that. She said, "Look, you should have mentioned to Keanu that Rachel's part of the group also. That Rachel was working behind Keanu's back at the time, and that it's not that she was a part. Don't let her get away with blaming everyone else for being in this alliance and not having any impact on her, because Rachel was part of it as well. You probably should have told. You probably should have told Keanu that when he brought it up. They've decided that they need to get ahead of this information and get it shut down a little bit, and so they're going to do a couple of things. One, they want to blame this group formed that it was Jimmy who came to them, said, "Hey, I've got these other people. I want to form heavy hitters." And of course, you don't say no to alliance. And so they're going to blame Jimmy on creating this thing, but then turn around and say, "We never met. It wasn't real. It was never meant anything. It was just something Jimmy came up with." And we didn't say no, but we knew that it wasn't a real alliance. So that's how they're going to say that. Uh, Morgan is also telling Vince, saying, "Look, this is actually a good opportunity perhaps for you. You probably need to go tell Mickey yourself. Get ahead of it. Tell Mickey about this Heavy Hitters Alliance before Zach or Rachel or anyone else gets a chance to tell Mickey. It's out there. Go ahead and go tell her. Use that as a way to show that you're being truthful and honest and upfront with Mickey, and try to spin that as best you can. So tell her before anyone else does." And with that, Vince is pretty much out the door, seeking out Mickey to give her exactly that information. We'll talk about that in just a second. All right, we've got Rachel and Zach talking a little bit. Rachel's complaining. These two have tried to come together a little bit more here lately. Zach doing a little campaigning over the last couple of days. At one point, they said, "Look, we just never really talked to each other. Nothing against each other. We just never talked to each other. So let's start fresh and all that." Well, Zach is talking to Rachel. Rachel's complaining, saying, "I know how to play Big Brother. I've won Big Brother. I've played 2 seasons. I could help people, and yet no one is asking me for any advice or anything. And I just I'm right here, and no one's bothering to come up to me and try to use my past experience to help them out." Zach is saying, I get it. Absolutely. Zach saying, "I want to work with you. I absolutely would be willing to work with you going forward, Rachel." And Rachel's agreeing, saying, "Yeah, let's make something happen here, Zach." Again, Rachel wants Vince out. So sure, why not? Go ahead and agree to work with Zach, and you can deal with that a little bit later if you're serious or not about it. But it's all from Rachel's standpoint, I think, at this point, just trying to get Vince out the door. All right, we've got Lauren and Morgan talking to each other. Lauren is wondering, again, counting votes. Lauren's wondering what votes Keanu might have to stay or to go home. Morgan is saying that Rachel and Ashley and Mickey and Riley are all question marks. Not really sure how all of them are going to land, especially if it was, say, a Keanu versus a Zach situation. Just question marks on that. And probably she did mention Kat, but I think probably considering Kat a little bit of a question mark as well, about, does Keanu have their support? Does he not have their support? Just not really certain. Lauren later is telling Vince that she thinks that the house, whoever the house is, she's saying that she thinks that they're probably keeping Vince over Zach if it came right down to it. And she says this is based on what Kat had told her, that Kat was telling her that people seem to be leaning a little bit more to keeping Vince in the house. Oh, Zach may hate not having used that special power. All right, we've got Zach talking to Ava now. Zach's being kind to her, saying, we're good, whatever. Yeah, I know you put me up, but that's fine." He says, it doesn't matter at this point. Nothing has changed since you made the nomination. I've got your back. I still have your back, Ava. Water under the bridge, all of that. And then he just happens to mention the tiebreaker. Oh, just in case there was a tiebreaker, Ava. What are you thinking? What would you do in case of a tiebreaker? So yeah, Zach conveniently saying he's got her back as he tries to pitch very subtly that he would love to have her support. It only matters if it's a tiebreaker, but it could be a tiebreaker, right? So asking her that would work. She doesn't commit to anything. Just kind of, well, we'll have to check and see. Whatever. We'll talk about it later. So no commitment there, but Zach certainly continuing to worry that this could be a tight vote. Even if he survives, it still could be a tight vote. He may need to rely on Ava at that point in time. What would Ava do? I don't know for certain who she would support in a tiebreaker. We'll have to investigate that more. All right, we've got Mickey and Riley talking. Remember, these two have been working a little closer together here lately. Mickey is complaining that Morgan is telling people that Mickey was the one who influenced Ava's nominations this week, that Mickey's behind all of this, and therefore Mickey kind of getting blood on her hands when she wasn't even involved with it. She did influence Ava a little bit, but Ava certainly had a mind of her own also. But Mickey feeling like she's getting the blame, and she feels like she's getting the blame because Morgan's the one going around and putting the blame on Mickey. So not happy with that. She calls Morgan shady about the way she's doing that. Riley responding saying, yeah, he's very skeptical of Morgan, just not trusting anything she does. Remember the talk about Riley, about Mickey kind of running the house and influencing a lot of people? Well, she has told Riley how much she does not necessarily like Morgan right now. And Riley's going to kind of run with that as well. Not that he was a huge fan of Morgan to start with, but he's certainly going to take that up a little bit, as we'll talk about in a second. All right, we've got Vince and Mickey talking to each other as well. Vince is saying that he needs to know where. Remember, he wants to get ahead of this heavy hitters. Vince is saying that he wants her to know where Vince stands. That he doesn't want her to think that he's trying to hide stuff. That he's just gonna kind of lay his cards out for Mickey, come what may. He says, "I'm telling you right now, yeah, Morgan and I talk, but anything I tell Morgan, I want to tell you as well. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to keep stuff from you. So just so you know." I'm gonna be willing to tell you everything possible. At which point he just conveniently mentions it. Oh, just in case you hadn't heard already, Mickey, there's this little group of alliance called the Heavy Hitters. You know, it's no big deal or whatever. But just so you know, it started off early, and I wasn't really never really meant anything, but in case someone maybe comes to you with that news, I don't want you to think I'm trying to hide the heavy hitters from you. So he tries to mention it to her. He's also asking Mickey for her vote. I think, in fact, he actually did this before he talked about the heavy hitters. Just kind of very not so subtle, asking if he could count on her for her support. She's non-committal. She's just kind of agreeing with everything he says without necessarily agreeing that she's going to give him her support at this point in time. So that part not successful. I suppose mentioning heavy hitters, whatever. Now she's aware of it as well. So again, the house continues. More and more people continue to know about this old alliance. Does anyone care at this point? Probably so, because these are some powerful people, and it may help point out not the old alliance, but who's together now. And so it could raise a little bit of paranoia and suspicion because of that. So it's important to talk about, I suppose. So now he has told Mickey about that. Mickey is saying that she wants Rachel out of the house. Again, a heavy hitter. I want Rachel out of the house. And that Zach and Vince, she's saying, Vince, you need to survive this week. Zach needs to survive this week. Let's get Keanu out of the house. Keanu is tighter with Rachel, I suppose, than the other two guys are. We'll get Keanu out, but we've got to get Rachel out of this house immediately afterwards. She says, oh, and while we're at it, send Rachel out, but I'm fine with Ashley going as well. I don't need to hold on to her either. So Mickey definitely has a couple of targets of who she wants to see on the block over the next couple of weeks. She's talking about Keanu. Both of them are talking about Keanu and saying, I like the guy. He seems okay. He seems like a nice, good guy and all that, but he's just way too gullible. He trusts everything that people say to him. And I think it's Vince who says he's trying to play Big Brother. He's just maybe not playing that good a game. It's a very sloppy game, and he's way too trusting. So both of them seem to be almost implying that they'd like to maybe try to work with him a little bit in other situations. I'm not sure if it's the thought that once Rachel's gone, maybe they could pull Keanu in. They don't vocalize that. I'm just kind of reading between the lines. But neither one knowing that they really feel comfortable working with Keanu just because they don't trust the information, what people are telling him, and Keanu is reporting to other people. So they're talking about that. All right, we got Lauren talking to Kelly. A lot of conversations yesterday. It just goes on and on and on. I'm taking all these notes throughout the evening and looking at my notes and thinking, yeah, I got a lot of stuff, but who knows what's going to be valid within the next day or two. So talk I will. All right, we got Lauren talking to Kelly. Lauren's telling Kelly that she'd prefer to keep Vince over Keanu if the vote comes down to the two of them. If Zach pulls himself off the block, Lauren would rather keep Vince. Not a huge surprise there, I don't think. She's worried though or she's worried for a couple of reasons why she would do that. Besides any kind of relationship she may have with Vince as part of being buddies with Zach and all that, but she's worried that Keanu's a comp beast. He's continued to win some competitions. Why not take him out while you can? And she's also saying that she's not sure what he would do, Keanu, if he was to win HOH, and that worries her a little bit as well. Kelly is saying, "Look, I get what you're saying. I truly do, and all of that you want Keanu out." She says, "I understand this idea. Take him out while you have this chance." She says, "I get all that, but." She says, I owe Keanu a vote based on his voting to save me in previous votes, and I just can't do it to him right now. Just so you know, Keanu's got my vote right now. She says, but just to make you feel better, Keanu would not be targeting you, Lauren. You're not on his radar. You don't have to worry about that. If you wanted to vote to save him, it's not going to blow back on you. He's not coming after you. She's saying, Lauren, Keanu's target is the same as my target, and that's Mickey. That's who we want out, not you. It's Mickey that we want out the door, so you would be safe. Kelly's saying that if she was HOH, she would put up Mickey and Morgan and Ashley and Rachel, and as a renom if necessary. Those four would be her nominations and renoms, but Mickey would most certainly be the target. She does tell Lauren, she says, now if you want to worry, the person you maybe need to worry a little bit is Morgan, because I'm pretty sure Morgan, if she gets HOH, she would put you on the block, Lauren. So don't worry about Keanu. You're good with him. Morgan, on the other hand, not so much. Again, a little bit of a subtle jab or poke, I think, from Kelly of, hey, you can't trust Morgan. And who is Morgan supporting this week to try to save? Well, that would be Vince and Zach and not Keanu. So if you vote out Keanu, you're basically voting the way that Morgan wants, and Morgan wants you out. I think that's kind of the narrative that Kelly is trying to push a little bit here. So she mentions that. Kelly's also suggesting with Keanu, she said, yeah, I know you're saying he's the comp beast and all that, but that may work to our advantage. She's saying, if we keep Keanu around for a few weeks more, he could take out Mickey. He could be the one that would go after Mickey. You may not want to do it. I don't know if I'd want to do it, but Keanu has no problem doing it. Well, Kelly didn't say she wouldn't do it. I'm sure Kelly would. But she says, not a lot of people would go after Mickey. I would. Keanu would. So keep Keanu around for a couple of weeks, at least till it takes out Mickey. And then, if you want to get rid of him, that's fine. Kelly, in turn, is complaining as far as who can help their game versus who can't. She's talking about Will. She's saying, you know what? Keanu's going to do some work if he stays in this house. Will, on the other hand, she says, Will is doing nothing to contribute to this house. And yet he's going to probably be the last man standing because he's tight with Mickey. He's going to get drugged at the very end. And he hadn't done any reason to deserve it. So yeah, Mickey or Kelly throwing a few different targets as she talks to Lauren here, but also trying to make sure that Lauren knows that she's safe with Keanu, doesn't have to worry about that, just in case she wanted to throw a safety vote Keanu's way. All right. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, this conversation, Mickey is noticing Lauren and Kelly talking together and is very curious about it. She's talking to Ava, and she says, what do you think they're talking about over there, Ava? Ava, I don't know. Lauren and Kelly, who knows? And Mickey says, well, you know what? Lauren scares me. I'm worried about what she's talking about, what she would do. So Kelly's observation that Mickey maybe needs to go is probably not off track. Because certainly Mickey maybe has Lauren in her radar as well. All right, we've got Riley and Kat talking. A lot of non-game talk, as you would expect, a little lovey-dovey and all of that, but also some game talk. Riley is saying that these two kind of snapped at each other a couple of times. They just don't, I don't know. Maybe they're spending a little too much time together. I'm not sure, but they're talking now. Riley is saying that he just doesn't trust Morgan. Remember, Mickey came to Riley earlier complaining about Morgan, and now he's saying, yeah, I just don't trust Morgan at all. She tells everything she hears. She immediately goes and tells Zach and Ashley about it all. So she holds nothing secret whatsoever. Riley as well as mentioning that Rachel is rooting for their showmance. I think Kat had expressed a little concern with Rachel, and he said, "Nah, Rachel's all in for our showmance." Remember, Keanu was saying, "Oh, Rachel, they're upset that you're trying to interfere with their showmance and all that." We're not hearing the same thing from Riley. Riley's saying, "Nah, Rachel's all on board with us trying to be a showmance." Of course, Riley wants Rachel pushing that they're a showmance and this hot item, and that they could have 15 years and a bunch of little babies at the end of it as well. So, yeah, he's mentioning that about Rachel being on their side. Kat is saying that Ava has talked about wanting to work with him. Riley saying, yeah, she kind of said the same thing to me as well. He says, I love the girl. I absolutely love her, but I don't know if I can handle her eating and her socks. We've heard a lot of talk that he doesn't like her leaving her socks around. I hadn't heard as much about her eating, but Riley, a few little habits of Ava's that he's not real fond of. But there has been discussion about maybe they could, work together a little bit at some point. Riley is talking about funniest thing. His target is Morgan. If he was to win HOH, that who is who he wants to go after. He's talking about the fact that Mickey wants Zach gone. It seems like that is Mickey's primary target. And that she has said this is likely the only time that he'll go on the block. In other words, maybe we need to get Zach out while we can. Riley is saying that Zach is very disrespectful to women. Hey, I'll just leave that out there for just a second. Riley's saying that Zach is disrespectful to women. And the reason he says that Zach likes Lauren. Obviously, Zach likes Lauren, but at the same time, he has his hands all over Morgan. And Riley saying, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have my hands all over someone else with you knowing the way I feel about you. And I just think that's very disrespectful on Zach's part. So we know that Riley would like Morgan on the block, but for this week, it sounds like Zach could be Riley's primary target. And I'm sure it has nothing to do with the association between Zach and Morgan whatsoever, right? Yeah, I'm sure nothing at all. But yeah, Riley's got a couple of targets as well. All right, we're working our way through this. We've got Kelly and Ava talking. Kelly is saying that Zach is bad for her game. She just doesn't feel like Zach does anything to help her at all. Again, the mention is already that he only benefits Lauren's game. She says, but if Zach wins a blockbuster, if he pulls himself off the block, then I'm going to at that point keep Keanu over Vince. I'm not throwing Keanu under the bus. I'm going to vote to save Keanu at that point. Kelly is reminding Ava as well. She said, do you realize there's a guy going home this week? At this point, unless there's some weird power there, which there was, but it wasn't used. As a result, there's another guy going home this week. As of Thursday night's HOH comp, there's going to be 8 women and 4 men. Yeah, we are definitely seeing some gender disparity in the numbers right now, and Kelly's pointing that out to Ava. All right, we've got Zach and Lauren talking to each other. Zach is saying that Rachel has no one at this point in the game that she really trusts. And as a result, she wants to work with him and Lauren and Ashley. Remember, they had their little conversation where they agreed to do this. So Zach is passing this information on to Lauren. Zach is worried. He says, she said that, but is she playing me? Is she just saying that just because? Because I noticed that she talks to Keanu a lot, but now she's saying she wants to work with me. Who cares, Zach? You're on the block. If Rachel's saying, hey, I want to work with you going forward, say, absolutely. Well, there's nothing better I'd rather do than work with you, Rachel. I've been waiting for you the whole time to say it. Say whatever you think Rachel needs to hear to make it seem like that much more reason to keep you safe this weekend and send someone else, such as Vince, out the door. But yeah, he's a little suspicious of Rachel's intentions, but saying, yeah, she does want to work with us, and maybe we could make something happen with that. Lauren is still worried about who Rachel would put up if she was HOH. But Zach is saying, look, I don't think it'd be you, Lauren. Lauren's worried about being targeted by a lot of people. But he's saying, Lauren, I don't think it'd be you. If Vince stays in this house, Vince will continue to be the target for Rachel. Zach is feeling like against Keanu, he has the support of Lauren and Morgan and Ashley and Will and Mickey and Riley and Kat. Zach's feeling like he's got a lot of votes that he can count on if it's him versus Keanu. Not sure that I would be counting Kat and especially Riley in your support column right there, Zach. I think it could go the opposite direction. in terms of Zach versus Vince, and Vince maybe getting those votes that you think you got, Zach, at this point in time. But he thinks he's got all of those votes. All right, he's not sure the votes if it goes the other way, if it was against Vince. He figures in that situation he would have Rachel and Ashley and Will, maybe Riley. No. Zach is saying as well that he, if he got HOH, that he would put up Ava and Kelly. Ava just because she just put him up, and Kelly because why not? I guess. So those are his targets. Riley is talking to Vince a little bit, saying that he thinks that Vince is sitting pretty good at this point in the game. I wouldn't put it quite that far ahead. Vince maybe a little bit of an edge over Zach, but not necessarily sitting pretty. But Riley's telling Vince, "Hey, you look like you should be good, Vince." He's saying that a lot of people are telling me this is the only chance to get Zach out. So with that under consideration, Vince, I think a lot of people are going to take the chance while they can to get him out the door. As a result, you should be safe this week. Riley is, let's see, talking about that. Finally, we've got, wrapping this up, we got Vince and Morgan talking, spending a long time outside talking with each other, just kind of touching, comparing notes throughout the day of what happened. Vince is saying Riley has said that he's keeping Vince no matter what. So that's a vote in Vince's corner. Morgan is saying that she wants to talk to Keanu, just to make sure that Keanu is aware that Rachel also was part of this heavy hitter. She hadn't forgotten about that conversation coming up. So she's definitely ready to throw Rachel under the bus a little bit, given their relationship. So she's going to talk to Keanu about that. Morgan is also talking about how much she is just over Rachel. She's tired of it. She's going to put Rachel up, even if it means that Morgan goes home the following week. She doesn't care. She's putting Rachel up at this point in time. She's been saying that a lot about Keanu. Sounds like Morgan has a new, very desired target in Rachel. So now she's talking about she really wants Rachel out. She'll do whatever it takes to get her out the door. She's saying she also would put up Kelly and Ava if it came down to it. Ava, just because she put two of her guys up. Kelly, because Kelly's aligned with Keanu. She didn't mention it, but she's talked before about how she would never make Keanu her primary target. She'd always do a backdoor, or at least with blockbusters, she would always use Keanu as a renom. So her targets, Rachel, Ava, and Kelly, and then probably Keanu as a renom. Morgan, not happy. She's definitely has focus on some other people on the other side of this house. And then finally, Morgan and Vince are continuing this talk out in the backyard. Lauren and Zach are inside continuing to have their talk as of about 4:45 or so. Early work day for old Cliff Hog, so I had to shut it down at this point in time. So it didn't seem like there's a lot more serious game talk taking place at this point. I think they're pretty much done for the evening. And there you have it, guys. So a lot of conversations taking place, but the key factors, I think, Zach didn't use his power. And Morgan now is aware that Zach had a secret power that he did not use, and we'll see how that all plays out. All right, guys, Tuesday, nothing going on today other than a whole lot of pitching and campaigning and accusing and backstabbing and everything else. And I'll be here for all of it. I will see y'all tomorrow morning to give you the update as we get into get closer and closer to HOH Thursday, Eviction Thursday. It's going to be another fun week. Guys, have a great Tuesday. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow morning. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.